that you do every day in every single way to make lives better, to actually save lives, and if the planet really came together the way we talked about at Georgetown, Christians and Jews, Muslims, Buddhists, all of us in it together, trying to save lives and save the planet, the world would be in a much better place. So I want to thank the Integrative Health Consortium for organizing this event. Tom and I in Berkeley and many of us have gone to lots of retirement dinners. Usually we're overfed, over-talked to. They usually give you a plaque at the end, look at their watch, and get the hell out for valet parking. But oh no, the tribute to Tom Harkin had to be a symposium. Complete with breakout sessions, action plans, and so on. And you know what? That's the thing to do. Look at the topic of the evening, Tom. Advancing the Harkin legacy. So you all are supposed to find your inner Harkin, channel Harkin, and I know that you've had a full day of events and actually a wonderful tribute to Tom. I'm reminded, I felt like I was in an African-American church. You know, everybody witnessed. Everybody got up and gave a tribute. But we want to give all praise and thanksgiving to Tom. But also to the many people in this room. I had intended to go through many names, excluding all here, and each one of you really is an incredible leader. And what is so impressive to me, too, is the kind of institutions that are represented. The academic institutions, like Georgetown, Maryland, other fabulous schools from around our country. The new consortiums that we heard so eloquently described, and it is just amazing. And for me, tonight, as I look at what Tom has done, filled with really poignancy, Tom, about how when we were just starting this, you know, we both came to the Congress in the 70s, and we met ringleaders, not seniority people, but ringleaders like Berkeley Bedell. And I'd like to just, I'm filled with nostalgia thinking about how I got into this field. And Berkeley, you were so instrumental. I remember when you wanted to talk about this field called alternative medicine, and you told me what it could mean and how it could affect and change lives. I was mesmerized. He also said he wanted to teach me how to square dance. So friends, I'll say to you tonight, I'll do acupuncture, but I won't do square dance. Let's do another shout out for our godfather. Of Maryland, having been educated by the Sisters of Mercy, met another Sister of Mercy, Sister Charlotte Kerr, who had been a professor at the University of Maryland and was at a Thai Sophia Institute. And at a Mercy gathering, heard about the Thai Sophia Institute, acupuncture, and through her incredible personal education, and then her ability to serve on 2 national commissions, the education and transformation that she did in federal legislation, but really my education. And then there were people like Brian Berman, who you heard, and of course the fabulous Wayne Jonas, who said goodbye to being a Walter Reed doc, hung up his uniform and put on a different kind of Superman outfit, and has done such a fantastic job. So let's give them a round of applause. Harkin's night, and as I'm going to say a few words about Tom, I also want to salute Ruth. You know, Ruth has been an incredible leader in her own right, in her support for Tom and her own advocacy for the people who've been left out, left behind, never had a chance. Ruth has been a stalwart partner to Tom Harkin, and Ruth, we owe you a debt of gratitude for sharing Tom with us and your advocacy in your own right. So So for me, Tom Harkin and I came to Congress pretty much together. Tom was 2 years ahead of me when he came to the House in 1974. He was a Watergate baby. Now that meant we got rid of Richard Nixon and we got Tom Harkin. And when I came to the Senate in 1986, I was the first Democratic woman elected in her own right. There were only 2 women in the Senate at that time. My wonderful colleague, Senator Nancy Kasselbaum, and myself. But though I was the only Democratic woman, I always said that though I was by myself, I was never alone, because I had great guys that supported me. Ted Kennedy, my own Senator, Paul Sarbanes, and my seatmate, my pal on the Health Committee and on Appropriations, my friend forever, Tom Harkin. When Tom came, he brought that Iowa sensibility, that prairie populism, and a belief that you should not only be a reformer, but you should be a transformer. That you should not only make change, but you should make change that will make a difference. And that's what he embarked in his life on. To make sure that, again, to stand up for the little guy or the little gal. To know that the best ideas come from the people, from the bottom up. And his whole approach has been listening to the people and advocating for them. Because of Tom Harkin, there are people with disabilities that would have never had a chance to go on a sidewalk, be able to get a job, and have doors open for them if you're in a wheelchair, literally or figuratively. He transformed the way we think about disabilities. When I came to the Senate, women weren't even included in the protocols at NIH. That famous study, take an aspirin a day, keep a heart attack away, included 10,000 male residents and not one woman. When I talked to one of the leaders at NIH, he said, we can't include women in the protocols because you have raging hormones. That was not something to say to me. And I said, listen, our hormones rage because of guys like you. Tom Harkin, and he was arranged at that, and therefore we were able to establish the Office of Women's Health. It really was in the 1990s, when the Clintons came to Washington, that Tom was able to establish the famous Center, and then the Institute, and then the Center of Alternative Medicine, now Complementary Medicine, and when we get to fiscal 15 appropriations it will be the Center for Complementary and Integrative Health at NIH. And then to make sure there was a White House Commission on Complementary Medicine, chaired by our dear friend Jim Garden. So it happened under President Bill Clinton, and we presume another Hillary Clinton, another President Clinton, will finally implement those recommendations. Came to really the passion that he had in this field of integrative health was the Affordable Care Act. It was not an easy time. Senator Ted Kennedy was quite ill. He was really at his bedside when he got us on a conference call. And I'll never forget it. Chris Dodd, Tom Harkin, Barabara Mikulski, all signing up for our assignments. And Ted gave us assignments. He said, Chris, I want you to work on access. Tom, I want you to make sure you work on prevention and wellness. That's your passion. And Barbara, I want you to do all the quality initiatives. We said, sure, Ted. We got off the phone, said we were all in it together, and Tom and I turned to each other and we said, wait a minute, prevention, health, wellness, quality. Hey, isn't that all the same thing? Absolutely. And Tom went out then to begin his work, and I, shoulder to shoulder and alongside with him. And out of that came, of course, the famous legislation you know about, the National Prevention Strategy, in which all federal agencies are supposed to work together to come up with wellness and prevention strategies. The Prevention Advisory Group, which I helped institute to make sure they got the right advice. Then he established the Prevention and Public Health Fund, a multi-billion-dollar effort. And though the right wing has tried to get its hands on it, though the administration has tried to get its hands on it, Tom whacks it down, and Tom, as the chair of the full committee, anybody tries to get their hands in it, they're done. We're always thinking about how to advance the cause. And then, because of the way he worked, he's been able to continue that momentum. Tom, you're not leaving. You're just arriving at a different place. And you've got an awful lot of people who are going to go along with you. I know the baton passes to new chairmen. I'm going to work with those new chairmen of either the Help Committee or the subcommittee, but we're going to keep on working to make sure that the philosophy that you advocated, that is embodied in the men and women in this room and the institutions that they represent. We're just not a gathering. We're not only a symposium. We are a movement. We're going to work to continue the cause. We're going to make sure we do something about 2706. So it's just not regulation that's sitting in some top drawer. We're going to move it to the top line and try to make sure that any licensed provider finally gets a chance to be able to do the job that they were trained and have the passion to do. We're going to make sure because like you and your very dear friend, Ted Kennedy, you are the leader of a movement. And do you remember at the another midterm election, so many, actually, at a Democratic convention, so many years ago, what Ted Kennedy said then could be said about you and every single one of us in this room. The work goes on. The cause endures. The hope still lives. And the dream will never die. Let's bring to the podium our